Welcome to the Balls Talk Sports NFL Podcast Award Show. I'm Elson Gratz.
I'm Victor Ratliff.
And with all but one NFL game in the rearview mirror, we are bringing you our season superlatives. It's going to include the classics like MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, etc. But because we are professionals, we take our job seriously, we've added a couple of our own awards to spice things up a little bit.
Of course, we're professionals. We take our job seriously, unlike the actual award voters.
Clearly.
Yeah, clearly.
Hall of Fame voters.
Yeah, I mean, oh my goodness. A lot of people don't take their job seriously in NFL circles. We do. Known NFL circles, people. We split kind of the Balls Talk Sports unique awards. The signature Balls Talk Sports awards are namely, and the biggest one, the biggest honor in the awards show today is the Thomas-Kuechly Award, named after Joe Thomas, famous offensive tackle from the Cleveland Browns, and linebacker Luke Kuechly from the Carolina Panthers. Two guys that never won MVP, despite the fact that they were consistently some of the best players in the NFL. This award goes to the best player in the NFL. It could be a punter, it could be a long snapper, edge defender, wide receiver, fullback, whoever we think was the best guy in the NFL this year, they get this award. Otherwise, we got MVP on the docket. We got Offensive Player of the Year. We got Defense Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie, Defensive Rookie. We have Protector of the Year, a new award the NFL added this year. Great. Give the offensive linemen some love. And then we also have Most Improved Player of the Year. I feel like last year and the years before that, kind of Comeback Player of the Year and Most Improved Player were kind of being smashed together. Comeback Player of the Year should be people who came back from extreme circumstances to play football again and play it well. Most Improved Player, the guy who took the biggest jump this year from maybe mediocrity to stardom, or complete unknown player into decent starter and above. We also got Comeback Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, and then we have also got Offensive Assistant and Defensive Assistant of the Year. So offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, you'll get your love too. And that is the Balls Talk Sports Award Show. All of those awards we're going to go over today, and it's going to be exciting.
Now, you drew up a fantastic voting system. You want to explain that real quick and how our nominations work?
Exactly. So we each tabulated our votes separately. So I don't know who he voted for. He doesn't know who I voted for. And we don't know who won yet, actually. The way I set it up, we have 3 finalists for every position, and I'll be able to reveal it. When the second I know it, you'll know it 3 seconds later. How it works is we each got 5 votes for every position. For MVP, we got 5 votes. Our number 1 pick gets 10 points. Our number 2 pick gets 7 points. Our number 3 pick, 5 points. 4 pick, 2 points. Our number 5 pick gets 1 point, and the person who with the most combined points between our 2 votes gets the award. We did this so we didn't have a situation like we did last year where Patrick Surtain wins Defensive Player of the Year, but Myles Garrett wins Thomas-Kuechly Award. So that shouldn't happen this year, especially because I feel like both of those awards are a little bit more clear-cut this year than they were last year. But this is, I think, a better system, and that way we get to know who won about the same time you do. But we have the finalists, so hopefully you'll see some nice little graphics that I'll make and post, and we'll get everything going.
All right, with all that out of the way, are you ready to get kinky?
Let's get kinky. One of the last times for the NFL season before we head into the off season. I'm so excited.
All right, then. You've got my Chromebook, so you're going to have to lead us through the progression, and I assume we are starting with the Thomas-Kuechly Award.
We are. The most prestigious award that we give out. This goes to the best player in the NFL this season, and there are 3 finalists. Now, the number 3 spot was tied. So here are the 3 finalists. Kyle Hamilton, Baltimore Ravens defensive player. Myles Garrett, Cleveland Browns edge, and Puka Nacua, Los Angeles Rams wide receiver. And the winner of the Thomas-Kuechly Award, by unanimous vote, Myles Garrett, Cleveland Browns edge rusher.
I think this is exactly who we expected it to be.
I mean, this is pretty much, I think this was probably my easiest pick of the entire thing. I mean, 23 sacks, 55 run stops, 7th in pressure rate at 16%, just an all-around force the entire year. Kind of felt like every game he was in, he was just the best player. And when you look at the league this year, I think it's no argument. He was the best player in the NFL.
This is not a guy who you can afford to block one-on-one, and that makes his true pass set statistics even more impressive. I mean, if You're coming off a 5-step drop. Feels like the quarterback doesn't even have a chance. One of the few players in the NFL where you can just turn on a broadcast and you watch one Cleveland Browns defensive series, you expect to see him tearing through a double team and making a play.
He's just a tremendous player. I mean, and this award, maybe it wouldn't even be a surprise if this award bears his name by the time he retires because he wins it so much. He's the 2-time winner. We've been giving out this award for 2 years and he's won it both times. Maybe no one else ever will win it. He's just a tremendous player. I mean, he literally won Cleveland one of their games just because Aaron Rodgers was so afraid of being that 23rd sack that he was just, all right, I got to get the ball out within a second or else Myles Garrett's going to humiliate me on national television. So, Myles Garrett, congrats. What a win. What a season. It was never really a doubt. I don't feel like there's much conversation here as far as it's well established he's the best in the league right now.
It would be really, really funny if we wound up calling it the Thomas Garrett Award because both of those players are Cleveland Browns.
But I feel like that's the spirit of the award. It doesn't matter where you play. It doesn't matter who you play for. It doesn't matter what position you play. If you're the best in the league, you're going to get recognized in this award. Maybe Myles Garrett would have won MVP if they went to the playoffs, but he didn't. So,
you were talking to me about how you can't really vote for Myles Garrett for MVP, even though he is such a tremendous force at a high-value position because, well, the Browns won, 4 games it was this season? But here's the thing. I still think you can because they would have lost those games a lot more convincingly.
That's
I
fair.
think that there's a difference between value and win probability added because Cleveland is such a black hole. Good luck adding a ton of win probability there.
That's true. That's a good point. I do think you can vote for him, and I think he was one of my 5 votes for MVP, if I'm not mistaken. But it's just it's a tough sell because most valuable player, he does add a lot of value, but I really don't think he did add as much value as other guys did just based off of the importance of the position and overall Cleveland. Like you said, it's just tough to add value to a Cleveland team that just isn't getting much out of their games anyway.
I would agree with that. I think he was my MVP 6.
Yeah. And then the other finalists, Kyle Hamilton and Puka Nacua and Bijan Robinson, tied with Kyle Hamilton for that award, but Kyle Hamilton was the first name I saw, so he gets the finalist spot. All great players, very deserving, and we'll talk about them more at length in other awards.
Do you think we will get to talk about all of them?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
I know we will. All right. That's the Thomas-Kuechly Award. Congrats to Myles Garrett, 2-time winner. Very good. That's the biggest time award. So if you want to leave, feel free. That's the most important thing we do.
And that's the podcast. See you, folks.
Yeah, see you later. No, don't leave because we got MVP next, and not quite as important as Thomas-Kuechly, but a very important award nonetheless, and a very interesting race this year. A lot of people have it down to Drake May and Matthew Stafford. Our finalists for most valuable player in the NFL are Drake May of the New England Patriots, Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills, and Matt Stafford of the Los Angeles Rams. All quarterbacks. Who would have guessed? But it feels a little bit better that we have all quarterbacks. This can be a quarterback award. We'll get into the philosophy of the voting in a second before I announce that the winner of the most valuable player in the NFL, Matthew Stafford of the LA Rams. Not unanimous selection, but still a damn few amount of points. Matthew Stafford wins the MVP.
My MVP voting system may have been controversial, but there's a reason that we distinguish the Thomas-Kuechly Award from the Most Valuable Player Award. Yep. And so my 5 votes, 3 of them went to those players. 1 went to Jordan Love, and 1 went to Justin Herbert, mostly for his regular season work, not his postseason work. But I asked myself, if you strip those players away from their respective teams and you replace them with, hell, not even a replacement level guy, because the replacement level for quarterbacks is so incredibly low. Yeah. Even just an average starter, how much value does their team lose? I think it's all quarterbacks. I think the top 5 to 6 guys are QBs, and then that next tier, those are the Myles Garretts of the world. So I do think that it's a quarterback award. I think that that's understandable. I think it's a flaw in the NFL only having MVP as its most prestigious award, but I think Matthew Stafford, very well deserving.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Thomas-Kuechly Award drew some inspiration. At least I I'd heard of the Dwight Stevenson Award that PFF gives away, also a great name, off of a Miami center, Miami Dolphins center from, I believe, the 70s and the 80s. Never won anything, but he was incredibly elite. So it's not just us that does this, but the NFL needs to take a cue. There needs to be a Best Player award. Matthew Stafford does get the award because I voted him first place. And, number 2 was not Drake May. It was Josh Allen, and I think that's because you voted him first place. He did not get the award because he was my 5th overall vote. He only got 1 point from me. So I'm sorry I did shaft your MVP vote, but I feel like Stafford is very deserving. I do think if you take him away from the Rams, I don't think this team operates as well. Stafford won them a lot of close games by just consistently making these throws and showing up in clutch times, those last-minute drives, but also he won them a lot of games by having consistent quarterback play. Josh Allen, while he did win them a few games and he did get a lot of value, and I shudder to think what the Bills would have looked like without him, I do feel like overall throughout the season there were stretches where he was actively keeping his team in games, whereas if you replace him with Stafford, I think Stafford actually wins more games with Buffalo than Allen does in some instances, because they're different offenses. It's very tough to tell, but I went with Stafford, and I did pick May second, and for reasons I'll get into in a second, but I'd like to hear your reasoning for Allen as your first place vote.
So I wasn't exactly pounding the table for Josh Allen. I think that this is a weaker overall MVP class.
Agreed.
However, I did the thing where you consider what if that player was removed, and I still think that the Rams have an exceptional offensive system, even without Matthew Stafford. Stafford does a ton of incredibly high-level stuff. He has a howitzer for an arm. He has an excellent deep ball. He is a fantastic processor who, for the most part, has avoided mistakes this season. However, it feels like he operates in a much more comfortable system than the vast majority of quarterbacks in the league. It doesn't feel like defenses are dictating what he gets to do because of the early down looks that are drawn up for him, because of how you have Devontae Adams being schemed open downfield, because you have such an elite outlet in Puka Nacua, where normally when we talk about a trust target, a guy you can just throw the ball at, like we're talking in the sub 10-yard area of the field, finding your check down. You can check the ball down to Puka Nacua 35 yards downfield, and there's a 50% chance that he'll find a way to make a play on it. And I think that being able to operate with that level of comfort did a lot of heavy lifting for Matthew Stafford. I think he was my number 3 vote because I'm a Packers homer, and I voted Jordan Love too because, man, what Jordan Love is working with, outside of Matt LaFleur's good play designs, it's pretty rough. It was a neck-and-neck race, but I certainly understand it for Stafford. As for Josh Allen, it felt like that Bills offense was trying to fit a square peg to a round hole for most of the season, and I don't particularly put that on Josh Allen. He was making some mistakes. There were a couple of games, like you mentioned, middle of the season, he was doing a little too much. He had a couple sprayed throws. Maybe he was passing up open receivers, trying to headhunt downfield. However, he is the sole reason that the Bills have any explosive component to their offense whatsoever. True. He's the reason that they're able to stay ahead of the chains. I mean, the Bills' method of getting first downs is just let Josh Allen drop back on third and create. I think that Josh Allen's mistakes have been very marketed and pushed out this season because he has some ugly moments. Sometimes he's going to take a 15-yard sack where he reverses field 3 times, and it's going to look really bad, and you're going to say, what are you doing? But for every time he does that, he's got 2 moments where he reverses field 3 times. The pursuing edge rusher dives, misses him. He reestablishes his platform, and he nails somebody 15 yards downfield, moves the chains, keeps a drive alive. He is an EPA type of quarterback, and I think that even if the mistakes are ugly, he just contributes that level of value. I mean, that's even without getting into what he contributes in the ground game, which is still underrated somehow.
Incredibly valuable player. I think with him, I don't think Stafford's playing in that much better of a situation. He is playing in a much better situation. I think he's got the better play caller, obviously the better receivers, but Allen obviously is helped have a little bit more of a at least solid surroundings by a great run game and a great offensive line. Stafford has those as well, but I'd argue Buffalo's was better this year specifically.
I would disagree with that.
Really?
I would take the Rams for sure, especially in the ground game, how successful the Rams have been, how they've been able to stay ahead of the chains. The Bills do have a good O-line. It really felt to me like it's regressed this season. We talked about Deion Dawkins in the Pro Bowl conversation and how he wound up being our Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
He was fine.
Yeah.
He was not 2023 Deion Dawkins or 2024 Deion Dawkins. And then their right tackle, who's on the other
Spencer
side for
Brown.
them. Spencer Brown was fantastic last year. This year, he's a guy that can start at right tackle for you.
I
Osiris,
think he's been better than that.
oh, I thought he was rough this season. Maybe it's just the wrong
I think
tape
he
exposure.
improved down the stretch.
Okay, that's fair to say. Overall, I am still going to take the Rams, but it's not like Josh Allen is playing behind a porous offensive line. I just thought he had to do a little bit more work than he had to do last season, and his play and his box score production dropped off accordingly.
And I also put a lot of value into explosives, and it feels like Stafford had to create more of the explosives because the run game, while consistent, and kept them ahead of the chains and gave Stafford the opportunity, 2nd and 3, go play action and burn him deep. The run game really didn't get a lot of explosive runs. Like Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, they're good running backs, but they're not going to break touchdowns. Cook, he was getting them in the red zone, making all these great plays. I mean, both these guys are great quarterbacks, and they deserve to be talked about at length. They both honestly probably, it's a weaker year. Neither of them are in consideration last year's race was incredible. If you don't know, we gave the MVP to Josh Allen last year unanimously, both of us, but him and Lamar last year, I mean, that's just a race you'll never see again. I mean, maybe, but that was incredible. Both of them. And then Drake May. You voted for him 4th. I had him 2nd. And I don't think he was the 2nd best quarterback this year. I think Allen was probably better than him. Maybe. In the regular, it's tough because I do take playoffs into account. If I'm comparing two players, if I'm comparing Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford, I'm going to take up until the divisional round when Allen was knocked out, right? Because they both played that long. I understand not taking it into account. It's a regular season award, but if I'm just looking at, we have the luxury of being the only two voters, right? So we can just look at this and be like, well, I know that it's going to come down to these two for my pick. Well, then I'm going to include postseason in this, right? So another thing for me that did it was Josh Allen. I mean, 4 turnovers in the divisional round. That just killed the team that day, and I value playoff performance. That's why Justin Herbert didn't get higher than Drake May. If it was just regular season, I'd vote for Herbert over May. I didn't because he lost them. He nearly lost them a playoff game. They probably would have lost if somebody else was playing, but the playoffs are valuable. You have to be a valuable player in the playoffs as well, especially for this award.
The playoffs have really made things complicated this season because Drake May has not had a shining playoff resume either.
No.
Regular season, he is lights out as a passer. He has been lights out as a runner. He has been must-watch television. He avoided mistakes. Yeah, he took a few sacks, but when you're creating as many downfield explosives as Drake May was able to with pass catchers that we don't traditionally think of as being elite guys, you can accept a QB that's going to take a few sacks and make a handful of mistakes. In the postseason, when you're going against great pass rushes and opportunistic defenses and sticky, well-schemed-up cover units, those flaws that Drake May does still have in his game have really come to the forefront, and it complicates things even more because of the absolute cupcake schedule that the Patriots had in the regular season. You start to wonder, if they had to play real teams that had a 500 or better record in the regular season, is Drake May even in the MVP conversation, as talented as he may be?
And I think that's where maybe we see it a little bit differently because I don't think that May is working with I would argue that Josh Allen in Buffalo are working with a better surrounding situation than Drake May is in New England.
I think that's relatively fair.
Because we've talked about May's surrounding cast as like this great, this at least solid one. And I really don't think it is. Like his receivers, Diggs and Booty, have been good this year, but it's not like they've been world beaters. I mean, Diggs made the Pro Bowl for us in a very weak year, and he still barely made it. Hunter Henry's solid, but that line was inconsistent. It was better than last year. I think we were just kind of this unit's better than last year, so they must be good. They weren't good. They were the thing. They were the players that benefited the most from the cupcake schedule because they didn't have to have their weaknesses shown. We didn't have to see Will Campbell beat multiple times in the playoffs. Like, we didn't have to see him get beat a bunch in the regular season because he wasn't going against great edge rushers. So when that happens, you can't blame Drake May because there's just nothing for him to do. He wasn't great in the playoffs, and I knock him for that, just like I knock Allen and I knock Herbert, and to a lesser extent Stafford. I feel like Stafford was the best playoff performer. Even if he wasn't great, even if he wasn't great, he was still the best playoff performer. But in the regular season, Drake May led this team to a 14-3 record. He was lights out most of the time. And I think that another quarterback, yes, you're playing a cupcake schedule. They still win those games, but they win a lot less games, and a lot less of those are close games. May's working with a slightly worse supporting cast. His analytics are by far and away the best of the bunch. He led the league with 0.25 EPA per drop back this year. Also, I believe, led the league. I don't have it. It was on my computer. I believe led the league in completion rate over expected as well. So doing all the analytics stuff in a situation that I don't think is as good as some people say. He led them to a 14-3 record. It's still the NFL. Yes, you're playing a cupcake schedule, but he was competing with the Bills, split those games with them. And in the playoffs, you know what? His team's going to the Super Bowl.
Damn right they are.
And it's a little bit different for him because he was playing in really shitty conditions in both the divisional round and the Super Bowl.
That is true. It was very obviously affecting the script of those games.
Yeah, Josh, you don't have that excuse, right? You were playing in pretty decent conditions at the very least. So same with Herbert. And the divisional in the wild card round for May, at least he played better than Herbert, So he's not my MVP vote, but I would like to make the case for him as a top 3, and he does become a finalist here.
I don't want to just be an asshole. I don't want to be the Drake May hater because I'm not a Drake May hater at all. He was my QB2 in that draft class. Oh. I love watching him play. However, you mentioned the EPA thing. This isn't even my stat. This is something I picked up from, I think it was TFG who showed
I know what you're talking about.
If you sort from games between 0 and 14 points a point differential, or I guess times in games, not by final score, then May and Stafford are neck and neck in EPA per play, within 1/100th of an expected point added.
And that's why I voted for Stafford.
And I think that's good process.
Yeah. But I agree that May is – I don't think May should win MVP. But I think Stafford was pretty clear in a way my number one quarterback. Even if I'm not excited about him as MVP, I still think he's the right choice. But – you've made a valiant argument for Josh Allen. I've heard some good arguments for Justin Herbert, and there are arguments for Drake May. It just feels like this is a tough year,
Yeah, definitely it is. There is nobody who's far and away going to take it, and I think we've established that, 1 and 2 are not so separated from the rest of the field here. Still going to say it. Jordan Love's still in that conversation for me. I'm not going to go and talk about Jordan Love more, but yeah, it is very condensed at the top as far as MVP.
Yeah, and heck, you want to talk about playoff performer? In the wild card, he was the best goddamn quarterback there was.
He went to war.
Yeah, he played the best of any. He had the best quarterback game in this playoff. And you know what? His team lost. We won't get too into that, but there's an MVP argument for him. Not one many people are making, but I'm glad we at least got to mention. And then also, I'd like to point out that I did vote for, we'll get to him in Offensive Player of the Year. I did vote for Jackson Smith-Njigba as my number 4 MVP. We can talk about value added. That is a true value-adding player. We're going to talk about him in a second.
I agree with you on that. I do think that he got MVP votes for me, and I bet he's not getting MVP votes from a ton of other people.
Yeah. All right, that's the MVP. Let us know if you agree or disagree. Who's your MVP choice? Next up, we got Offensive Player of the Year, and we said we'd talk about all 3 of these guys before, and we are the finalists. Some repeat names: Bijan Robinson, Atlanta Falcons running back; Jackson Smith-Njigba, Seattle Seahawks wide receiver; and Puka Nacua, Los Angeles Rams wide receiver. And the winner of the Balls Talk Sports Offensive Player of the Year is Elson. We have a tie.
Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness. We have a tie.
There are ties on the BTS award show?
I think there have to be. Whenever we have this, Jackson Smith-Njigba and Puka Nacua have tied for Offensive Player of the Year, both with 17 points, which means both of them got a first-place vote and both of them got a second-place vote. I believe you voted for Puka Nacua first and Jackson Smith-Njigba second.
Correct.
And I voted for Jackson Smith-Njigba first and Puka Nacua second. It was a tight race, and I think I'm happy giving out a co-Offensive Player of the Year award.
I think it's deserved here. It's especially fitting because, they played each other 3 times in the same division. We've heard about this receiving race all season. They have had 2 absolutely unbelievable campaigns with two really different styles of receiving play as well. So, yeah, I think that's an elegant, if not somewhat unsatisfying solution.
Yeah, it'd be nice to just give you one name, but I struggled to give you one name. I struggled to put JSN number 1 because Puka's so awesome. Let me read just some stats real quick. JSN, these are just regular season stats. JSN on the season, 119 catches, 1,793 yards, 10 touchdowns, plus 8.8% catch rate over expected, and a total of 80.5 expected points added. Puka Nacua, 129 catches for 1,715 yards, 10 touchdowns, 11.3 catch rate over expected, and 116 expected points added, all in 15 games of action. Puka's got a heck of an argument when you're looking at analytics for number, and that was almost why I almost went with him as my number one. Analytically, he was great. Statistically, he was fantastic, and tape checks out too.
As long as Puka can stay healthy for the duration of his prime, we could be looking at him as the best wideout of this generation. There just aren't any tools that he doesn't have. I mean, he was a good athlete coming out of the draft. It feels like he's refined his athleticism a little bit more. One of the reasons that he fell, and again, I did not watch Puka Nacua's tape, is what, a 5th-round pick?
I believe so, yeah.
Was it? Is that he had injury issues. It wasn't really about lack of talent on tape, and so we've seen that athleticism translate to the NFL. The hands are just at another
Absurd.
level. I mean, what was his drop rate this season, if you don't mind me checking?
I don't yeah, go ahead, check real quick. I don't have it on me, but I mean, I only remember him dropping one ball. And that was that really bad drop in the wild card round, but I watched a lot of Rams tape this year, and I don't remember many other drops.
Well, that's kind of what I'm trying to get at, is that his sheer hands consistency is probably one of the weakest aspects of his game, and it is still really stellar. Let's see. Yep, he finished with 5 drops.
Really?
However, a 3.2% drop rate just because of how much work that he received. Yeah, so that puts him firmly in the elite category. At the catch point, I mean, I can't remember watching another player, since I've really been watching a lot of football, since I've been getting eyes on a good number of games each week, that does as much damage at the catch point as Puka Nacua. He just has every tool you could possibly look for. He has length. He has physicality. He knows how to use that physicality and box guys out. He has obscene body control. Has to be the best body control of anybody in the NFL. He's going to block like a tight end. He's going to break a bunch of tackles. And he's really smart, too. For all the off-the-field bullshit that, seems not terrible by receiver standards, but bad by other position standards, he is an incredibly heady, aware football player who knows how to process coverages as well. There just aren't any tools in his bag that he does not have, and he has the efficiency numbers to back it up. But I understand your argument for JSN. I'll let you get into that.
Yeah, and it comes down to, for me, when I look at Offensive Player of the Year, Puka was asked to shoulder an incredibly, I'm going to say all these things about JSN. Don't take them as oh, Puka isn't doing this. It was 50.1 to 49.9. JSN, the smidge more. Puka asked to carry a very heavy load, but I think this does go back to kind of who was asked to do more, and I think my answer to that might be JSN, just because Puka's got Devontae Adams with him, Matthew Stafford throwing him the football, you got Sean McVay, your genius play caller, scheming you open a lot, a great offensive line to give Stafford more time to throw you the ball, great run game so that the play action works better. JSN isn't working with all of that and still competed with him statistically and film and with the eye test. He's doing all of these great things when he doesn't have that elite number 2. Shaheed is added in the second half of the season, and he's a solid deep threat. Cooper Kupp, of course, a very good player, but not near his prime anymore. And a run game that was really inconsistent throughout the season, and a quarterback, Sam Darnold, who is good, but still he's no Stafford, and he is not the most consistent guy of all time. And JSN still went out there every week and just made plays, got open, made the big-time plays. It seems like every time they needed a touchdown, well, it's JSN time. Give him the ball. Pound for pound, probably, I don't know if it's tough to say best, but he's my favorite route runner to watch in the league right now. The way that he does things, so this was one of my proudest football moments ever. We were watching the conference championship game last weekend, and I see JSN run a route, and I'm like, oh my God, that was incredible. This is unbelievable. The suddenness in which he runs routes, I literally say it outside. I say it, most sudden route runner in the league. You just can't tell where he's going. His shoulders don't move until the second he snaps, and then he goes, unless he's going for a shoulder fake. And then Tom Brady says the exact same thing. And I'm like, yeah, baby, this is what I'm talking about. I beat the goat to it. But no, and Tom's right that JSN is just a one-of-a-kind route runner. You just can't tell what he's going to do. I mean, he's just running straight at you. You're like, all right, well, if this isn't a post, then he's just going to have to slow down so quickly, and there's no way to go. And then he just snaps out, and there's nothing you can do as a corner. Like, it's so rare that there's a player that you see where there's nothing you can do to stop him. And sometimes JSN's that guy. You give him a free release, and it's over. And it's not like he's a bad off the press. It's just if you give him a free release, that is just an impossible coverage assignment one-on-one. He's going to get open. Did a whole bunch of damage in the conference championship game. Watching him and Puka go to war in those 3 games. I think all 3 of those games, they both had great games. Both of them went crazy in the conference championship. Both of them played well in the second matchup. So both very deserving, but JSN, again, incredible hands, great football smarts. Another guy who just doesn't drop the football ever. You know, he'll find the zone. He'll sit it in. I love that in a receiver, to really be able to make yourself available, make it the easiest throw for your quarterback possible. He can get open deep, over the middle. He's a short threat. He's a yak threat. He can also block, not quite as well as Puka, but I voted for him. He was one of my votes for most valuable player for a reason, and I think that's what gave him the edge, is that he provides so much value to the Seahawks offense, and honestly, he might provide more value to that team than anybody, including Sam Darnold.
You said it, as far as the route running and just overall spatial awareness and football savvy. I was watching tape, and I got the chance to compare 2, I guess you would call them square out routes, not exactly speed outs, not deep outs, and they were both against cover 3 with just a cornerback dropping back into a deep third. And the first one, I think, was DeAndre Hopkins, who, you know, you don't think of him as being the snappiest guy, but he's a veteran, and he's got vet smarts, and he knows how to use his body language, and he was able to snap the route off enough that the DB didn't even have a chance. I mean, he's backpedaling into a deep third, there's no play, catch made, out of bounds, and we're good to go. And then the next one I watched was, it was a Van Jefferson type receiver. I don't know that it was Van Jefferson. Maybe it was like Josh Palmer, but not as nuanced of a route runner. And you knew where he was going to go before he made that break, and it was Christian Gonzalez that was able to slam down on it and get in front and comfortably bat that ball away. And that was a great play by Christian Gonzalez. But he's not having the confidence to make that play and jump that route against a receiver who's more sudden. I think just the ability to subtly, and that's the key word, subtly create space, is the most underrated aspect of great NFL wide receivers. It's the difference between the guys who are drawing a bunch of targets and bringing in a high catch rate versus the guys where everybody screams, why are you not getting him the ball more? Because he's not really open. When he's open, he's not very open. And when he's not very open, you don't have a chance to get him the ball at all. Jackson Smith-Njigba, not the biggest guy in the world, but even when it doesn't look like he's open, he's able to use his body and his body language and his understanding of timing and space to find a way to get hands to the football and bring it in. I mean, he had a vertical rep. It was a go ball, and it was slightly underthrown. And it actually taught me something about receiving play that I had never understood before, because he slowed up on his way to get that ball and just subtly boxed the DB out, and then he reaccelerated and ran under it, and he created that catch. And if you don't know what to look for, if you're not getting the right angle on that play on all 22, you just think, oh, that's a beautiful throw. You're watching it at all 22. You're paying attention to the nuances. That's JSN doing his thing.
It's the corners aren't watching the ball. This isn't Madden. They don't know where the ball is in the air. They watch the receiver. So the best receivers, they're going to know that, and they're going to manipulate them. And JSN as a route runner is one of a kind in the league. And I think when watching tape and evaluating college receivers, obviously we're going to get to that in a later in this offseason, it's really important to obviously understand how they run routes. Where do they win? Where do they not win? What are they good at? And I think a test that I use a lot is can I predict what you're going to do based off of, okay, you're running straight off of the line. Do I know what you're going to do? And a lot of guys I do. JSN, I have no fucking clue what he's doing. I have no idea what he's doing. I mean, I can guess based off the rest of the play. You know, I can guess that, well, they're running a dig from the slot. Maybe it's Mills. Maybe he's running a post. But I don't know, because he's just so – there's no tells to his game, and it makes it even tougher because he's also one of the best at fakes in the league. Like, yeah, you have to figure out what he's doing, and then he tells you what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing. And then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have to figure out what he's doing, and then you have So you have to commit to that because he also has speed. He's going to beat you over the top. No, he's already gone. By the second I turn my head, yeah, he's behind me. He's right behind me, isn't he? Just a special player. But so is Puka. All the things that we've said about JSN and Puka, almost all of them apply to each other. Two of the top 4 receivers in the league, the only ones that give them their run for their money is Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, I think.
One more thing I'll add on JSN. So Puka Nacua, he missed some games this season, and that's holding back his insane production a little bit. JSN, I think, played in every game, correct?
That's true. Yeah.
However, one thing I've noticed, his worst games, as far as box score production, are the ones where they jumped out to an early lead and then just threw it in cruise control and let Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet go to work out of 12 and 13 personnel. They lean on JSN, like you mentioned earlier, when you need that touchdown, when you need that third down chunk, and that's one thing that held his production back a little bit.
If the defense was a little worse, JSN might have broken the record. It's very possible. And if Puka could play the entire season, he might have broken the record. You can't make an argument that one of these guys doesn't deserve it, so we're going to give it to both of them. All right, and Bijan did get both of our third place votes. Tremendous running back. We've talked about him at length. Basically, every single podcast, we find a way to talk about how great Bijan Robinson is. So watch any of the other episodes if you want to hear us. Watch the Pro Bowl episode. We talk about every one of these guys here. All right, on to Defensive Player of the Year. I think you guys can probably guess who's going to get this, but
it's Pat Surtain again.
Yes, Pat Surtain. Dump back to back, but we have another unanimous winner. Myles Garrett is your Defensive Player of the Year. Fantastic defender. We talked about him. Number 2 was Will Anderson. And number 3 was Kyle Hamilton.
Will Anderson is insane. I mean, I think that we knew that he had this in the tank when he was coming out as a draft prospect, but man, this is his absolute ceiling as a football player. He has established himself as genuinely one of the most dominant forces in the entire NFL. This is what, year 3 for him?
I believe so, yeah.
The jumps that he took from his rookie year to his second year and now second year to third year are remarkable. He is an absolute disruptor. He tears through guys. His raw strength and power production rivals literally any other player in the NFL. I mean, Myles Garrett, Khalil Mack still. I don't know who else you're going to put in this tier. And he has just such elite get-off that he pairs that with. Good luck staying in front of this guy. I think he puts more offensive tackles on their back than any offensive tackle in the league, or any edge rusher in the league. It is close between him and Garrett, but I think I'm giving the nod to Will Anderson.
I think I'd agree with you because honestly, you see Myles Garrett, this muscled-up freak, 6'5", 275. You're like, okay, surely he just runs through guys every play. No, I mean, he honestly wins with the speed rush more often than not because what are you supposed to do when you know that he can run through you? You're not going to be able to protect the edge, and he knows that, so he's just going to run right around you. Will Anderson, he was my third place vote. I did give the second place vote to Kyle Hamilton just because watching him play is just special. I mean, doing what he does all over the field, I think he was the second. I believe he got my second place vote for Thomas-Kuechly as well. I might be wrong on that, but he was just incredible all year. Played edge rusher. He played linebacker. He plays big nickel. He plays the star position, right? Safety, deep safety, box safety, all of that's outside corner. He can do everything. He's an incredible coverage defender, incredible run defender, incredibly smart. He is the lifeblood of that defense and just a great player. And Will Anderson, so good. I mean, defensive talent was so good this year. This was really, I feel like this was the year of the defense. And I think that's fair to say, especially when you look at who's in the Super Bowl, defensive-oriented team in Seattle. And whether you believe it or not, the Patriots have played like a defensive-oriented team in the back half of the season. So just because they have a high-flying offense in some occasion, I do think that this is a team that wants to win low-scoring games and win with their defense. This is the year of the defenses, and the Defensive Player of the Year poll shows it.
I understand why you voted for Kyle Hamilton so highly. I mean, I respect the hell out of what he does for the Ravens. What I especially love about Kyle Hamilton is, remember those athletic concerns coming out of college?
Yeah.
I don't really think those have disappeared. I still don't think that he's an exceptional athlete for a guy who plays, essentially the slot position. And it just doesn't matter because he is 2 steps ahead of you. The way that he's able to use leverage in coverage, you throw in his direction, you've got to earn every single yard. I think he was credited with giving up like 3 touchdowns
It was
this
not
season.
good analytic profile, yeah.
But it doesn't matter, though, because you watch those touchdowns, and it's like, okay, he was trying to cover 3 guys, and he successfully covered 2 of them, and then he was going up against Josh Allen, who fucking ripped the ball in there, and he still got a punch down on it, and the receiver just made a good play. I mean, what do you want the guy to do? They put as much on his plate as any defense puts on any defensive player's plate in the entire NFL, and he does nothing but answer the call and produce. Pass game, run game. Absolutely one of the smartest players in the league.
I think if we were talking about most valuable defensive player, you can make an argument. I don't think I'd give it to him, but you can make an argument for him over Myles Garrett just because of how much he does. Defense isn't close to what it is without him.
He is the Ravens' defensive scheme.
He kind of just is. Like, yeah.
Put him where the problem is.
Jesse Minter is going to work wonders with him as a defender. I'm so excited for how the Ravens are going to look under their new leading man. All right, that's Defensive Player of the Year, unless you got anything else
I don't think so.
you want to talk about? Yeah, there were a lot of guys who received marginal votes, but those were the 3 main guys. Who did you vote for as your number 3? Do you remember?
No, I don't offhand for defense. Oh, I didn't vote for Danielle Hunter, did I? No,
That's
I
possible.
think Hunter was my 4. I really did like what Danielle Hunter did. I think that he's another guy that can win with speed to power, but I see him winning with speed more at this stage in his career, where I thought he might transition to more of a power profile. I think that he's a little bit more of a disruption archetype than Will Anderson is, who just uses ridiculously heavy hands to manhandle through guys and still get sacks. But I really did like what Danielle Hunter did this season as well.
Yeah,
I don't
very good
remember if he
player.
was my 3 or my 4.
Very good player. All right, Offensive Rookie of the Year. This is a very open pool this year.
Yes, it was.
I doubt we voted for the same guy because there's just a lot of close calls, but maybe we did. I don't know. All right, the finalists for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Armand Membu, offensive tackle of the New York Jets. Tyrell McMillan, Panthers wide receiver. And Tyler Warren, the Indianapolis Colts tight end. And the winner of the Offensive Rookie of the Year is, by unanimous selection, Tyrell McMillan. That's a little bit of a surprise.
So I know I've come off as a T-Mac hater at times, but I'm kind of just a hater of this entire offensive
That's
rookie
fair.
class a little
very
bit.
good
Like, I was lower on Armand Membu in the draft process. I'm not trying to slight him for his rookie year by any means. He performed a lot better than I thought he would, but the fact that he's pretty comfortably either the first or the second best offensive rookie this season, I mean, that says a lot. This is a weaker class. Overall, I think that T-Mac played well. I think that probably he was like a really good wide receiver too. Based on his tape this season, I
agree.
don't think that you're comfortable with him as your number 1 option, but projecting forward, yeah, I absolutely think that he's going to get there. He was productive. Panthers got hot down the stretch, so that's why I voted for T-Mac.
I absolutely agree because there's still some of the concerns we saw coming out of the draft. He's not the most electric route runner as when it comes to separating. Like he's good, but he's still got some work to do. And there were a couple of drops, not that many, but there were a couple. And then I do think Tyler Warren wins this award if Daniel Jones plays the entire season.
It's possible. Yeah, it's very possible.
It's just when you got Phillip Rivers and Riley Leonard throwing you the ball and that offense, the run game stops working because there's no threat of the pass anymore. It's really hard to win as that. But Warren was very good. I think I gave him my number 2 vote. Did you give him your number 2 or your number 3?
I went Membu, number 2, and then did I go Warren number 3? Yeah,
you did.
and then I went Banks 4.
Because Membu and Warren tied for number 2 at 12 points.
Okay.
And I went Banks 4 as well. He was good this year.
Yeah.
Saints got a good one.
He really settled in after about mid-season.
And then McMillan, yeah, he had a 1,000-yard season, very good. Tyler Warren, I believe, ended with 800 or so yards. Membu, the analytics don't look good. The pressure, 8 sacks allowed, 33 pressures, 96.6 efficiency, 11 penalties. I don't feel like that tells the whole story. You know, when you have a quarterback that bad, it's tough to protect for 6 seconds. You know, it's tough. Justin Fields holds the ball very long, and then Tyrod Taylor and Brady Cook.
Yeah.
It wasn't the easiest situation for Armand Membu, but he performed admirably as a rookie. Not the best class of offensive rookie of the year ever, but you've got hope for these guys moving forward.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Membu headed into next year because One thing I noticed immediately, did they play the Steelers week
Week
one, I
one, yeah.
believe? It wound up being a shootout, and I think he held TJ Watt to a clean sheet.
Yep.
Now, I went and I watched those reps. It was a lot of chip help, a lot of Watt not actually getting a real crack at him to go out and win. However, I thought his technique looked a lot better than it did at Missouri, and that has translated throughout the season. The fact that he was able to take that immediate step up, I think, speaks to his work ethic and his ability to learn quickly. And then the run blocking. I thought it was kind of a disaster at Missouri as far as all the mental processing aspects. I thought it was better this season, still not great. However, I really have come around on the just reaching landmarks consistently aspects of being a zone blocker. And that's one of those things where early on in your football watching career, it's like, okay, you got to put a guy on his ass. You got to herd somebody out of the play. Not necessarily. In a zone system, you just got to get to a landmark and wall your guy off because he's not making a tackle, if that's the case. And Membu does a ton of that. He's an outstanding athlete.
Yeah, I think maybe if somebody doesn't sustain the block, it's not the worst thing because yeah, they didn't do a great job of making that block there, but they did enough. The running back's past him now. The play is over for you. If he let him go, I'm not going to blame you for that. You know, it may not look great, but if your guy got through, you did your job. All right, on to Defensive Rookie of the Year. Another crop. This wasn't the best overall class, year one, but it's a decent crop of defensive guys. We got, first off, Carson Schwesinger, linebacker from the Browns. Nicky Manwari, the Seahawks safety. He'll be playing in the Super Bowl here in a week or so. And Xavier Watts, another safety from the Atlanta Falcons. And the winner of the Defensive Rookie of the Year, our Balls Talk Sports selection, is...
Unanimous.
By unanimous selection, Carson Schwesinger out of the Cleveland Browns. And we have another unanimous selection. Wow. We're never going to disagree again.
I mean, I just think he was the best defensive rookie in this class. You don't get into positional value or anything like that. And I think that he's still probably overall on tape better than Manwari is right now. I considered Manwari, but Manwari didn't start the season quite as well as Schwesinger did. On his UCLA tape, there was obviously a lot to like there. You saw a guy who was very aggressive against the run and great athlete, really showed flashes in coverage. It was just a matter of putting it all together. He got clobbered on quite a few block shedding situations against guys climbing. He put on some weight this year. It looked like that to me, and he took on blocks a lot better. The ranginess, the headiness, the effort, that's all still there. He wasn't flawless in coverage, but you don't expect a rookie linebacker to be flawless in coverage. Linebacker is not a very strong position in the NFL right now.
I believe he made the Pro Bowl for both of us, right?
Yes, he did. I mean, he is easily a top 10 guy right now, and moving forward, sky's the limit. Well, okay, Fred Warner's up here, and then the sky is here. The sky is the limit.
Fred Warner, the limit does not exist for Fred Warner. So he's just kind of, when you're talking about, the best linebacker in the league, no, best linebacker in the league except for Fred Warner, because he just sets the bar so high. Another guy would have been in the Defensive Player of the Year running if the injuries had taken him away from us. He was having just as good as a year. But, Schwesinger, really fantastic player. Like you said, coming out of UCLA, the coverage was never really in doubt. Smart football player like him. All the athletic boxes checked out to a certain extent. Really no issues there. It was always, can you put on weight and then maintain that athleticism and be able to come downhill and attack guards? Make sure that you're not just getting bullied out of the play, and he's done that so far. He is a decent run blocker at the very least. He's not a liability or anything, and really making a lot of plays for the Browns. The Browns have a really good defense. The record doesn't show it, but they've got a lot of guys. And then I voted for Manwari as my number 2 guy. Yeah, it wasn't fantastic to begin the year, and I do think some of it is scheme. Obviously, he gets to just go out there and use his athleticism and wreck guys, but I don't know, man. I still think he's a good player. Like, coverage-wise, he's improved a whole bunch as the season's gone on. I mean, like, just putting him in that hook curl or sending him to the flat or even putting him in a deep quarter assignment, he's gotten a lot better. He's a decent coverage defender now, especially in man coverage. He's improved so much since South Carolina, and great run defender. I mean, I got the stats here on my phone. Let's pull them up. And the season, 81 tackles, 37 run stops, 17 pressures on a 25% pressure rate, 2.5 sacks, and a pick. I mean, numbers speak for themselves. He was all over the place. You watch Seahawks game, he's going to be making big plays. They trust him in the high leverage situations, and they trust him to blow up plays. Fantastic player.
His coverage tape is just a target graveyard because he's gotten targeted quite a bit in that role that he plays within the Mike McDonald defense where he genuinely is just roaming. I think we talk about that a lot with these big nickel sort of players. Oh, they're roaming. They're just making plays with their instincts. That's not really what Kyle Hamilton is doing most of the time. I mean, to an extent, that's not really what Derwin James is doing. He's playing a lot more man coverage, erasing tight ends. Eman Wari, when he's not playing tight man coverage, because they do use him for that every now and again, he generally is just playing around the line of scrimmage and detonating RPOs, detonating screen passes. There is so much allowed a reception for 2 yards on 2nd and 10 on his tape. So EPA graveyard, I guess you could say, consistently putting offenses behind the sticks. He's still not a very pretty tackler, but he doesn't have to be a very pretty tackler because he is long and he is strong and he's bendy and he can fight underneath blocks on screen passes. And he finds ways to get that running back or that slot receiver to the ground before they can do any damage.
Yeah, and the benefit of playing in Seattle's defense is like, yeah, even if you don't make the tackle, there's somebody else right behind you.
Yep.
There are a lot of dogs on that Seahawks defense. I mean, I'll tell you right now, it's going to be tough to pick against them in the bowl.
DeMarcus Lawrence is somehow chasing down the play from the backside. He makes the stop.
Sam Darnold's running him down. They put him in at safety. Everybody has to play every position.
Yep.
All right, Swessinger is our defensive rookie of the year. Credit to him. And then we got the protector of the year, the new award.
I didn't know that this was a real NFL award, actually.
Yeah, they're going to give it away this year.
I like that.
Very exciting. The linemen get their love. To be clear, this is not just pass protection. This includes run blocking. I think both of us kind of agree this is just the best offensive lineman in the league because they don't really get the love in the other categories. So it's tough to compare linemen to receivers and all that. Extremely difficult. So the finalists are Andrew Thomas, the New York Giants offensive tackle, Penei Sewell, the Detroit Lions offensive tackle, and Quentin Nelson, the Indianapolis Colts guard. And the winner of the first annual Protector of the Year award goes to Andrew Thomas, the New York Giants offensive tackle.
I think that is completely justified. He was not a first-team All-Pro, was he?
I don't think so. I think it was Garrett Bowles and Penei Sewell.
That is an unbelievable snub. I thought that he had, by probably like half a tier, by a decent margin, the best pass protection tape in the entire NFL this season.
I agree. I mean, that's why I voted for him. He's not as good of a run blocker as Penei Sewell or Quentin Nelson is. And the difference here was, I believe you had Penei Sewell number 1.
Yes.
I had him number 3. I put Quentin Nelson number 2. So that was the difference. Sorry, Penei Sewell, I screwed you out of this award. But you're probably going to win the real award.
And he will get one eventually on Balls Talk Sports.
Yeah, absolutely. In the NFL, the Protector of the Year award is just going to be the Penei Sewell Invitational, basically. It's going to be him or one other guy every year because it's name recognition. But Thomas, he deserves credit for this year. That pass protection is incredibly difficult no matter what. Pass protection when you're protecting Jackson Dart and Russell Wilson, whoever the hell they trotted out when Jackson Dart was injured, I forget. You remember?
No, not at all.
Was it just Russell Wilson again?
I feel like it wasn't. I have no memory of that happening. I have no memory of Russ getting back on the field. We got to figure this out.
Blocked out all the Giants tape we watched this year.
I don't know if we do have to figure that out.
Yeah, we don't have to figure it out. We can forget. But the rest of his offensive line sucked. His quarterback sucked for the most part. And he was still mostly perfect. I mean, we got the stats up here. Let me pull them up. Phone keeps graying out. 1 sack allowed, 13 pressures allowed, only 3 penalties on the season, 98.9 pass blocking efficiency from PFF this year. Just a tremendous pass blocker. I agree. He was the best pass blocker, at least from the tackle position, because it's just a different world. Pass protecting a guard and tackle, they're just 2 different worlds.
I'm still taking him over any guard, even relative to the
The only guy that you're going to be able to compare is maybe Creed Humphrey or Joe Tooney to that pass protection tape. But Thomas, very well deserved, and also a very good run blocker. It's not like he's lacking by any measure in that category either.
And it's not just the stats on him. Like, we've actually watched the tape. The tape 100% checks out. There are occasionally tackles where they surrender a very low pressure rate, and you watch, and it's constant double teams, it's constant chips, the ball is coming out really, really fast. Andrew Thomas is just going to work and using his hands and using his footwork to consistently stand up opposing edge rushers.
I mean, he's put it on an island against the opponent's best edge rusher every week because the rest of the team needs the chip help. They need the double team. So Thomas, you're the best guy. You're going to have to survive. And he's doing better than the double teams. Just an incredible player. And Sewell deserves this award as well. I think this is probably his best year as a pass protector in the NFL. And the run blocking tape is just as good as it always is. Dominant and smart player, just making things work. And I honestly think a part of it is just the Lions offense wasn't as good this year. It wasn't as competent. The loss of Ben Johnson was clear. So he wasn't able to shine because they don't have a guy, a genius run play caller who can get him in space and use his ability and make those big plays, let Jahmyr Gibbs get free, because obviously it looks a lot better on tape when you make the key block to get your guy get free, to let your guy get free, but there just weren't as many opportunities for Penei Sewell to showcase his elite run blocking dominance.
The fact that he is still steadily getting better in pass protection is very scary for me as a fan of a different NFC North team, because obviously y'all know what he does as a run blocker. It's not just pancaking dudes. It's the athleticism. It is just the sheer movement skills and fluidity. He checks all of those boxes. And then in pass pro, he's maybe not top 3, but that is the worst thing that you can say about him as a pass blocking offensive tackle. I mean, every once in a while he has a glitch where he just chooses to underset a little bit, for example. Like, obviously, he has the athleticism to kick out wide and take away speed. He has the length, and I think it's really that he has so much length and power in the upper body that sometimes he thinks, I can underset a little bit and just heave this guy on the ground, and then the edge rusher gets low and beats him for a pressure around the back corner. And that is the worst thing that you can say about Penei Sewell in pass pro.
Yeah, every year he gets beat by less stunts. Every year he dangles those arms and gets chopped really quickly a lot less. Like, all of those things that he's always been the offensive line darling ever since he came into the league, but there were some issues in pass protection in years past, and it just keeps getting better. I mean, at the rate he's going, this might honestly become our Penei Sewell Invitational Award as well. And then I voted for Quentin Nelson as my number 2, just because I think he's probably the best run blocker in the league this year. And again, I think that he's got a better chance to win this award if Daniel Jones doesn't get hurt and the run blocking isn't a lot tougher, because you don't have a chance to make great plays if you're just loading up the blocks with 8 guys and you're only blocking 1 or 2 guys on a single play. You can't. I mean, as a guard, you don't have there's not necessarily all of that value. So if your team isn't as good, as your offense isn't running well, it's going to be a lot tougher to prove that you deserve this award.
I think that there are 2 different schools of thought on Quentin Nelson. There are the very casual fans who have thought that he's the best guard in the NFL since the moment he got drafted. And then there are the more informed fans who might still be on he started pretty good, but he's been slumping a little bit recently train. Quentin Nelson is all the way back to being definitively the best guard in the NFL. Yeah, the raw power in the run game, absolutely. But in pass pro,
Still
top
very good.
3.
Yeah,
elite.
Absolutely. I mean, the only competition he has is probably Joe Thuney, but I mean, there's a reason he's here and Thuney isn't. Did Thuney get a vote for you? He got a vote for me. I think he got the 5th overall.
I went tackles just because of how deep tackle is. I do have this meta theory that I won't spend a lot of time getting into, but that the talent level at tackle is systematically and significantly higher than guard, because if you can play tackle at a high level, you can also play guard at a high level, but not vice versa, and so those guys just get pushed to the higher value position. And I wanted to reflect that a little bit with my votes, so I think Tristan Wirfs probably got a vote. There's another offensive tackle in there that got a vote.
Creed Humphrey didn't get a vote?
I think Creed Humphrey... No, Creed Humphrey did get a vote. It must have been 3 offensive tackles and then 6 through 8 on the list who didn't get votes, because that's not how it worked.
Because Creed, yes, he is not a tackle, but oh boy, he's good. All right, that's Protector of the Year. Andrew Thomas wins the first one. Now we've got our unique award, Most Improved Player, the Balls Talk Sports Signature Award. We got 3 finalists for this one. Ryan Newsel, the Atlanta Falcons center. Cole Van Lanen, the Jaguars offensive tackle.
Yes, left tackle.
Left tackle.
Blindside protector.
He's played guard. I don't think he's played center, but he's played guard and tackle this year. Also been injured. And Cordell Flott, the Giants corner. And the winner.
I'm excited for this one.
Of the Balls Talk Sports Most Improved Player. Very difficult award to win, and a very weird award it was for voting this year, is Cordell Flott, the Giants corner.
Okay.
All right.
We love that. Should have been Cole Van Lanen, though. Shout out Badgers.
Voted as a Pro Bowler, for you at least. I didn't vote him as Pro Bowler. You didn't vote him as your number 1 most improved player. I did.
All right.
Yep.
So this was a tough award to do. You went in and did your guys. I went in and did my guys. I wound up with a ridiculously long list of guys I thought I might vote for. and it was a motley crew of players. Like Devin Lloyd was on there because he went from good to, top 3-4 linebacker in the NFL, and then you
Yep.
had guys going from barely relevant to just pretty solid starters. So it was a wide spectrum, and Cordell Flott, I think, was somewhere in the middle there. He went from, CB3, CB4, a guy who was starting a lot of games, but, for a really
Wasn't very
iffy
good.
Giants secondary, yeah, probably not a guy who gets another starting opportunity if he were to go to the market. This year, he's a guy who is easily holding down a starting job. He is playing almost exclusively on the perimeter right now, which is a change of pace from earlier in his career. And he's translated really well there for a guy who isn't incredibly athletic, especially in
Or
regards to
big.
the long speed. He is very quick, however, and he looks very comfortable. He's physical, very physical, actually, at times, at the line of scrimmage, throughout routes, but he's not grabby. He is not drawing penalties for you, and I think that his ball skills have looked really good this year. I think he's proved that. He can play man. He's been exceptional from zone this season as well. We're going to see if he can sustain this breakout into next year, but I am very excited for the future of Cordell Flott. He's also just going to be a player I root for because I remember watching Derek Stingley at LSU way, way back in the day. It was the sophomore year Derek Stingley tape. And this nickel just kept popping out to me because he was diving at guys and he was making plays on the ball. And it wasn't always great, but he was just all hustle all the time. And that player was Cordell Flott, a little bit of a different player in the NFL now, but he still brings the hustle and run defense. So a guy I really like, I think a deserving winner of the Most Improved Player Award.
Absolutely. Just really fun to watch overall. As you said, hustle's all there. You did a great job of breaking him down, and the other guys did deserve it. Van Lanen and Newsel. Van Lanen, he was really the picked out of obscurity. Never really played too much before, and then goes out there. I think he was only in there because of an injury, right?
I believe so, yeah.
And then playing at just a really good level. He's a really good guard for them for a few games. And then they're like, well, our left tackle just got hurt. Throw him out left tackle. See how he does. Walker Little, you don't have a job anymore. Cole Van Lanen's taking it. And he was so good. He got a $17, $18 million extension during the season. So a very good player, absolutely deserving the award. Just missed out.
And he's just all around good. I mean, he's a former Wisconsin offensive lineman, so he's a big dude. He's heavy-handed. He's going to get after it in the run game. But in pass pro, it really sticks out to me is just the punch timing and the grip strength. You can beat him around the outside. Occasionally, you can land a shot on the shoulder and beat him with a spin move or a swim move, that sort of thing. But just down to down, not surrendering the easy pressures, I think he does that at a super high level, and he is easily enough of an athlete to hold down that starting job long term. Also, this means something big for me. It means that the Jack Nelson hype train has arrived 4 years from
Yes.
now. Jack Nelson about to be a lockdown blindside protector for the Atlanta Falcons.
Wisconsin offensive linemen, are they good in the first 4 years? No. But oh boy, that second contract.
The program might be going to hell in the meantime. We'll see what we do next season, but we still got a few sleeper cells left in the league.
We'll see. And then Ryan Newsel, Pro Bowler for both of us. Just a tremendous player, another guy. Atlanta just keeps pumping out great offensive linemen, and Newsel's the next in a long line. So very just a smart center, knows what he's doing in pass protection and run blocking. That's most improved player. Congrats to Cordell Flott. Another year, I believe last year it was Zach Bond. So good company for you. All right, now we are on to the last 4 awards. We'll not spend as much time on the Comeback Player of the Year award, but the finalists are Christian McCaffrey, the San Francisco 49ers running back. Surprised that this is the first time we've said his name.
Yeah, me too, because he was hyper productive, and the tape is still good on him. I
Yeah.
don't think it's exceptional. I don't think it's as exceptional as in years past, I should say, but okay, so we'll have this conversation more when we talk about CMC.
Yeah.
I don't think that his comeback was the most exceptional in terms of what he actually came back from, but as a running back who's up there in age, returning to form and being a bell cow guy, that's really impressive. Now I'll let you go on.
Second finalist is Derek Brown, the interior defensive lineman from the Carolina Panthers, and Aiden Hutchinson, the Detroit Lions edge rusher. And the winner of the award, the Comeback Player of the Year, is Christian McCaffrey, San Francisco
there we
49ers
go.
running
I'll let
back.
you take it away now.
Yeah, so like you said, the injury itself, I don't quite remember exactly what it is. Do you remember what it was last year?
So
I believe it took him out for most of the year.
I drafted him first overall in fantasy, Victor.
I think I did too.
God hates us.
Yeah.
So I remember it was, what, a lingering ankle or
That's what
Achilles
it
thing?
was.
Was it
Yeah.
Achilles?
No, I think it was
Achilles tendonitis, was it?
That's what it was, because he entered the year, he was questionable entering the year, and then he didn't play till like week 10 or something.
And then when he did play, he wasn't the same player, and he winds up getting shut down. I don't remember what that injury was. What I do remember is that he wasted a roster spot on my team for over half the fantasy season, and this year he was back. He was a bell cow. I remember everybody online complaining, like, why is CMC's ADP still so high? Because this is his upside.
That's the guy. And if you're keeping track out there, that is the last 2 years that my first round pick in fantasy has gotten hurt. Christian McCaffrey and Malik Neighbors.
That is absolutely tragic.
Yeah, so I'll be having to do a fantasy punishment very soon. So
Oh, no.
it's rough, but Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion, very deserving of this award because, like you said, it's not the injury that he came back from. It's the fact that, like, a 30-something-year-old running back who's made his career off of, well, being a receiving back. I mean, obviously he's a tremendous runner, but he isn't who he is without the elite receiving.
Of course not.
Right? It's an incredibly difficult thing to do, to be a receiving back. You have to be a very athletic and very precise athlete. You know, your route running has to be great. You have to be able to turn those sharp angles, those shit angles, to get really low to the ground as a running back to make those plays. And in space, it's really tough to make those plays. And to do that athletically with an ankle injury lingering, it was always going to be difficult for him to come back from. He does that, and I think he was number 2 in scrimmage yards this year. Just a tremendous receiving back, always has been. He's the biggest force for the Niners offense. The Niners offense ran through him, especially when Brock Purdy went down. So Christian McCaffrey coming back from that as an older guy and still looking like a good athlete while letting the mind take over and being able to find the hole in San Francisco line that wasn't always great run blocking this year. Very deserving of this award.
I know his health. You're going to look at it as an if moving forward, but if he can stay healthy like he did this season, he could have a lot left in the tank.
Oh, yeah. Like a couple of years. I mean, there's a real chance we're still seeing him play in a couple of years.
And I like that you mentioned the double-edged sword that is being a receiving back, because I think people are going to hear receiving back and they're going to say, oh, he's taking less punishment. Being a receiver in the NFL is dangerous because you are not controlling the contact you are receiving like you are as a running back. So I would say that there's probably more punishment dealt out on the average reception than on the average rush.
I agree.
However, you know, as he does start to slow down, that receiving savvy, that is still going to be in there. So could extend that career with a role as a productive third down back if he so desires.
Absolutely. And especially with McCaffrey, guy who runs more Texas than anybody, a guy who runs more circle routes than anybody, wheels, all that. You're a running back going over the middle of the field.
Yep.
You're laying your life on the line, and McCaffrey does it every down. Yeah, and there were a lot of guys that came back. I saw Phillip Rivers received a vote from you.
Dude, he should have completed 20% of his passes for like a 0 passer rating. And you know what? He was fucking playable.
Hey, man, listen, he received a vote from me, too.
All right, let's go.
I saw him. I was like, I cannot believe I forgot about this. You got my 4th place vote. There you go. But Aiden Hutchinson came back from, I believe, a broken leg, was very good this year. And Derek Brown injured week 1 of last year, I believe, and then comes out here and was, in my opinion, one of the best interior defensive linemen in the league. 2 great players coming back, but I feel like Christian McCaffrey deserved this award.
Yep.
So one of us didn't vote for him. Did you vote for Aiden Hutchinson?
Yes.
Okay, wow. All right.
He was my number 1 selection just because I remember his injury being pretty gruesome.
It was really bad.
Just watching. Okay, so this is a funny story. People have also probably seen this video. The Aiden Hutchinson rehab videos of him running, and he looks awkward as all hell. And the comment section is that what it's supposed to look like? And all the Lions fans are like, yup, this is a good sign. No worries here. And then he comes out. I think he plays every game this year. Leads the entire NFL in pressures, at least in the regular season, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, that's the definition of coming back.
Yeah, he was tremendous this season. And coming back from a broken bone in your leg, especially as a rusher, is really tough to do because most of your game is built around bend. Your leg broke, and now you have to trust it completely to bend around the edge and to stabilize yourself throughout the entire time. That is such an incredibly difficult thing to do. It takes a whole bunch. I mean, anybody who's even had a minor injury before knows how long it takes you to trust that thing again. Imagine you're an NFL player, you have to go full speed every time, contort your body in the weirdest possible ways while a 300-pound man is trying to bury you into the ground, and having full trust in that leg and making those athletic plays it's just a tremendous feat.
Absolutely.
All right, we're on to coaches. These are our last 3 awards: Coach of the Year, Offensive Coach of the Year, and Defensive Coach of the Year. Why don't we go Offensive Coach, Defensive Coach, then Coach of the Year will be last.
Sounds good.
All right. The finalists for Offensive Coach of the Year are Josh McDaniels, the Patriots offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, the Seahawks offensive coordinator, and Mike LaFleur, the Los Angeles Rams offensive coordinator. And the winner of the Balls Talk Sports Offensive Coach of the Year is a tie.
Of course it is.
Of course. Josh McDaniels and Clint Kubiak have tied for this award. You voted Clint Kubiak?
Yeah, and I thought I was kind of going to be on an island voting Josh McDaniels with my second place nod.
Really?
Getting that 7-pointer. Because I have been a big Josh McDaniels appreciator this season and in seasons past, especially this year, though. So I didn't expect that. I didn't know that you saw ball the same way I did.
Yeah, we've never talked about how good Josh McDaniels is a play caller, but obviously fired from his head coaching job last year as the Raiders head coach fired. Everybody's like, yeah, this guy just sucks as a head coach. He does. He's a terrible head coach. There's a reason he keeps getting opportunities is because he's such a smart offensive mind, runs such a good offense. I think just as much like May is elevating this offense, but also the line has improved because of him. The run game has improved because of him. It's somewhat consistent now. Like you can rely on it. Ramondre Stevenson looks good. He'll be a force in the Super Bowl. You got these receivers going, and a big reason that Booty is getting open on these deep routes is because McDaniels is able to scheme him one-on-ones. He knows how May can win. He knows how Kayshon Booty can win. He knows how his guys are good. He knows what his guys are good at, and he puts them in the best positions, and I think that's the job of an offensive coordinator, and he's done it incredibly well this year.
Absolutely. Top 5 to 10 run game designer in the NFL. Knows how to come out light, knows how to come out heavy with multiple tight ends or with a fullback in there, and then just utilizing your pass catchers in the best way. It is getting ISO looks for Kayshon Booty downfield where Drake May can throw it out there in front of him, or especially keep that back shoulder clean and make a catch along the sidelines. It is getting Stephon Diggs over the middle of the field where he can use his toughness and where he can use his subtle veteran push-off ability and the physicality throughout his routes. And it's getting Demario Douglas 2-3 targets a game, working underneath, using that athleticism, getting him free releases, just maximizing the talent that you have. It was always going to be an uphill battle for the Patriots because even though they had an easy schedule, they don't have an easy roster to win with particularly. And the reason that they were so consistent winning games this season, not just that the highs were high, but the fact that they went 14-3 in the regular season, that has McDaniels written all over it.
Absolutely. And like you said, a great run game caller. I mean, Travion Henderson, he had a good year, but he's not very good. You know what I mean?
He is not great at the skill aspect of the running back position. He wasn't that great at it in terms of making guys miss in space and having great vision between the tackles at Ohio State. He's not good in the pros, but he's used in the right way in the Patriots offense, and he is explosive, and that is what counts.
Yeah, I saw somebody say the other day, Travion Henderson kind of needs to be led to the hole. Like I think that's what I kind of messed up on his vision at the college level. I kind of saw him. All right, he sees the second level really well. I mean, in space, he sees where the right hole is. He sees where he has to go once he gets past the first level, that first layer of blocks. But I think I just kind of missed that he wasn't, and you caught this, that I kind of overstated his ability to read the blocks in front of him. And he struggled with that this year. So what does Josh McDaniels do early on the season? The zone isn't working with him. We're just going to run a lot of gap with him. We're going to lead you to the hole. Follow this guy, and then read the blocks in front of you. And a guy that a lot of people projected into a zone offense just because he's somewhat smaller, doesn't deal with contact that well, and is very fast. Perfect fit for zone offense, right? Still need to read out the blocks and get there. McDaniel sees that. It's a very good adjustment. And then you voted for Clint Kubiak.
This one is kind of challenging because, is Clint Kubiak a top 10 offensive mind in the NFL in a very offensive-minded league where there are a ton of guys breaking new ground every week? I'm not so sure, but he was one of the first coaches, especially this season, to really lean into the we're going to go heavy and we're going to run the ball at you even if it's not particularly efficient because it is going to help the play action game out that much. I think he draws up really good vertical play action concepts. And then when we're throwing the ball to a tight end out of those looks, that is going to bridge the production gap because it's been well known for a while. You can't just run the ball for the sake of running the ball on early downs. You have to use it to set something up. You still have to get decent production out of it. And then when you're coming out heavy and you're having Sam Darnold drop back from under center, or you're running a play action concept, if that deep stuff downfield is taken away, A.J. Barner is there and available, and I think great third down play designs to stay ahead of the chains. There's a lot that I like about Clint Kubiak. He has maximized an offensive line that had a really glaring weakness on the interior early on by going to a lot of play action, like I've mentioned, not giving his guys a ton of true pass sets and opportunities to lose one-on-one. And I think he's one of the big reasons that the Seahawks offense has been so persistently explosive all the way through the year. Getting Rashid Shaheed the ball, you never know what's coming.
Exactly. I mean, his entire career from San Francisco to New Orleans to Seattle now, he's been one of, if not the biggest proponents of play action, and that's just how he likes to run his offense, and he builds the offense around being able to do it. A lot of guys try to run play action. They can't do it because they know it's coming, and that leads to no respect for the run game. Clint Kubiak runs it in a very, very special way where it's coming, but you still have to guard the run game. And with how varied his play action looks can be, they can come from heavy, they can come from gun, they can come from single back, where you've got doubles on both. You got 4 receivers, 1 running back, you're in single back, and it can still come from there, and you can still run the ball. He's committed to run the ball, and that allows his play action game to open up, even though they know you want to go with the play action. They can't stop it as well. He gets JSN one-on-ones a lot. We were talking about JSN, how tough he is to stop one-on-one. The reason he gets a lot of chances to be one-on-one is because of how well Kubiak is able to isolate him. I mean, we saw that incredible look. I forget. I saw the concept. It was a concept I'd never seen before. The one where JSN got the touchdown on the scissors concept in the end zone out of the backfield. But it was scissors, but like with a twist on it where I forget what it was called, but it was really neat. And that was just a perfect example of, you've got your best player in the backfield. Everybody's eyes should be on him. Nobody sees him, and he gets there, and that's all Clint Kubiak. So incredible play caller. And we'll see if he gets a job. It seems like he's the favorite for the Raiders head coaching job at the moment we're recording this. So we'll see.
I would really like that move for the Raiders because, you know what, he absolutely does have upside. I think that this is the type of offense that the NFL is trending to. I've talked a lot about how I think if you want to hire a defensive head coach, you want to run a guy who is excellent at coaching up this quarter system. I think that heavy personnel, getting tight ends, efficient touches, and then explosive play action, I think that is becoming the NFL meta. So I would like that hire a lot. And then just how refreshing it was this season to watch this type of dynamic offense versus last year with, what was it, Shane Waldron?
Yeah.
Where they just completely forewent the run game and play action just entirely. It wasn't even an aspect of their offense. Made a tremendous difference this year.
Yeah, credit to Mike McDonald for pulling the trigger and firing Waldron in year 1, bringing in a guy like Kubiak. And credit to both of them for figuring out how to get the most out of Darnold. They're going to the Super Bowl, and he is no small part of that. So we got co-offensive coordinators of the year, Josh McDaniels and Clint Kubiak. Both very deserving. Somewhat shallow year just because it seems like there's not a lot of coaches who are calling offensive plays who aren't head coaches, or guys who aren't. There's not many good ones.
No, absolutely not. I mean, there were a couple of decent offensive minds, but I don't feel like if you're a decent offensive mind, I can vote for you for offensive assistant coach of the year.
Yeah.
You got to be an actively good mind. That's why I don't think I voted for Joe Brady at all, because I think that he's only okay. He's not bad. I don't think he's a fireable offensive coordinator or anything like that, but I would rather vote for a guy who I think played a role in a system that was really good, even if he wasn't the one calling plays, than a guy who, I think his system is just okay.
So you wouldn't have hired Joe Brady as your head coach?
I would. Oh, Jesus Christ, Buffalo.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. Have fun, Josh.
Yeah, it's going to be an experience. All right. A much deeper well of talent is Defensive Coach of the Year. And this one, we have 4 finalists because, I can't tell who won right now. I don't know who has the least votes. So we're just going to go with 4 finalists. Anthony Campanelli, the Jaguars defensive coordinator, first year. Brian Flores, the Vikings defensive coordinator. Jesse Minter, the Chargers defensive coordinator. And Robert Saleh, the 49ers defensive coordinator. And the winner of the Ball Stock Sports Defensive Coordinator of the Year is, by unanimous selection, Jesse Minter. Jesse Minter, the Chargers defensive coordinator.
I wasn't sure if this one was going to be unanimous or not, because I do think that Anthony Campanelli in particular has a pretty strong argument for number one. But what Jesse Minter did with a unit that was, at its best, decent in terms of talent, and at its worst, just almost entirely devoid of talent, especially in the pass rushing department, was wildly impressive. And there's a reason that he was both of our favorite hires when we did our head coach evaluations.
Yep, and Campanelli did receive both of our second place votes. Minter just... There's not much. We talked about him very extensively in the coaching podcast, and we've talked about him a lot this season. There's not much talent in LA this season. They still managed to field, I think, a top 5 offense in defense and EPA per play. Just a tremendous effort. The scheme that he calls is probably the closest to Mike McDonald. They work together in Baltimore. I don't know if they ever worked together in Michigan. They both worked at Michigan. I think they may have been there at different times. I think McDonald was the DC, and then they went right to Minter. In those big-time Michigan years when they were winning over Ohio State. No wonder they beat Ohio State, because they had 2 NFL head coaches calling defensive plays for them. Harbaugh really was fielding insane coaching staffs at Michigan. But Minter, absolutely a worthy winner of this year's Defensive Coordinator of the Year, just running that quarters-heavy system where the corners can kind of keep everything in front of them. Dante Jackson can use that athleticism to be such a great player. He received votes for Most Improved Player of the Year, where he can kind of use his athletic ability and use those smarts to jump plays and not get beat over the top by being a little bit too aggressive, and will allow stuff underneath. Quarters, it's not easy to scheme stuff up underneath. It's not just spot drop cover 4, but you can, since it is a match-based coverage, sometimes you're running guys on mesh concepts and complicated crossers. It is tough to kind of decipher, okay, who's who, where am I going? But when it comes to deep coverage, this team was very, very, very disciplined, and they did not let stuff up over the top very often. They were able to keep stuff in front of them and defend the run very well for a unit that just coming into the year I was really worried about.
It does help when you have Derwin James, who is just an eraser to clean stuff up underneath for you. But then you talk about the blitz looks that he's been able to draw up with getting Tuli Tuipulotu involved, getting Diane Henley involved as a blitzer, and just making things easy and making things simple, letting the defensive backs cover, let the front 7 play really fast and stuff the run. I think that the run fits were exceptional this year as well. There's not really anything to dislike about Jesse Minter this year with the Chargers or last year with the Chargers. He has an excellent 2-year sample size of fielding a great product. However, just bringing guys up with him, making players better. And I think especially for defensive coaches, that is something I want to see. I want to see that you can develop players and consistently just elevate the talent level of your defense.
Tariq Still, Cam Hart, 2 late-round picks. They come in. They're playing adequately right now. Alohi Gilman really wasn't working out in the NFL. Then he comes to the Chargers last year. Now he's really good for the Ravens, and he was good for them last year. Derwin James has had 2 of the best years of his career under Jesse Minter. He's really at least playing in the best position he's ever played in, able to use his gifts and use his mind to really, obviously, erase tight ends and man coverage, but just make stuff happen over the middle, make quarterbacks throw picks, because he's just, I know where you want to go, and I'm going to beat you there. I'm going to think, I'm going this way. No, I'm not. I'm going to beat you to the ball. So he puts his players in great positions as well, and I'm sure he was a big part of acquiring Odafe Owe at the trade deadline, and that has been a very, very big addition for them as far as pass rush.
And kind of an unforeseen great addition as well, so foresight box checked.
Yeah, big time for him. And then we both voted Campanelli as our second place, and he was linebackers coach, I believe, under Jeff Hafley in Green Bay last year, comes to Jacksonville. He's the first-year defensive coordinator. How's it going to go? Calling plays for the first time. It's going to be tough. He's relatively young, working with a unit without all that much talent, especially in the secondary. And, all right, this defense is just awesome.
Linebackers were pretty good under him, I would say. They took a little step up.
I think you could tell he's a linebackers coach. Lloyd and Nukluakun both having the best years of their career. You talked about run fits with Jesse Minter. I am in love with how Campanelli called that run defense. I did not like the interior talent in Jacksonville, and I was
No.
very worried about Lloyd. I mean, never been the best run defender in the league as a linebacker. He'd always been a little bit more coverage heavy, and he still wasn't this year, but he was a lot better. Everybody was just able to flow to the ball very quickly. It feels like they were swarming. He used Dennis Gardecki in a very creative way we've talked about this year. He brought the safeties down a lot. It seems like those safeties were able to stay up and too high, but he taught those safeties how to sniff out play action incredibly well. It feels like Jacksonville was one of the best teams. I don't have the stats to prove this. It feels like they were one of the best teams in terms of sniffing out play action really quickly. If it was a play action pass, Andrew Wingard and Eric Murray and Antonio Johnson, they would drop back pretty consistently and not bite. But if it was a run, Antonio Johnson was just downhill quickly. Andrew Wingard was just there to make those plays. The run defense was such a step up for Jacksonville in those corners. I mean, Monteric Brown, Greg Newsome acquired near the deadline. Jarian Jones, I believe he was hurt for some of the year, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was last year. I don't know. The Jags corners, they massively overperformed. They weren't elite, but they just don't have the talent to be elite. They massively overperformed, and I liked Hunter's tape as a corner whenever he was playing. I think he'll probably get a lot more playtime as a corner next year. This is a guy who's going to get head coaching talks next year, I think.
He is running a very varied zone system where, yeah, you're going to run a lot of quarters. You're going to run a lot of cover 3 because that's the NFL meta, but you're running cover 2 to a high extent as well. You're throwing a lot of variations in there.
A lot of quarter half.
What was so interesting is that all of these defensive backs, virtually every single one, played up. I mean, we talked about Antonio Johnson, potential for most improved player. However, he's in year 3, right? And we didn't include, just for some reference, on that award, we did not include anyone headed into year 2 or year 3.
Yeah.
He went from basically not a relevant NFL player to pretty comfortably a Pro Bowl safety. That is how good his tape was this year. You mentioned all the cornerbacks got better. Has to be one of the best zone instruction guys and zone play installation guys in the NFL, which, as a linebackers coach, maybe you had some concerns about that headed into the year with sort of a motley crew of a defensive backfield, and it wound up being a tremendous strength for Jacksonville, especially down the home stretch.
Yeah, and credit to him, they played zone on 83% of their snaps this season. He knows we probably just don't have the talent in our secondary to play man, so we're going to play zone, and we're going to play it really well. Are we going to get beat? Yeah, zone is not a perfect system. Like, obviously, every team would love to have 3 Patrick Surtains and 2 Xavier McKinneys so they could just play zone the entire time, but you don't have that. So they could just play press man the entire time. But you don't have that. How will you adjust? They adjusted very well. Again, if you're going to play a lot of zone, you want to keep stuff in front of you. Don't allow the big play. I thought they did a reasonably good job of that. I mean, obviously, there were blown coverages. People jumped when they shouldn't have. But overall, disciplined defense, and I'm excited to see where it takes them. All right, and then we also, Brian Flores and Robert Saleh both received our 3rd and 4th place votes. Both former head coaches, great defensive minds. Had those defenses with both a few injuries. Obviously, the Saleh 49ers defense had a lot more. Both played up, and both were kind of let down by the Niners defense wasn't necessarily let down. They let 41 points in the divisional round, but it was just a tough year for the Niners. A lot of injuries, and Flores' defense was let down by the offense. So both of them deserve votes. They just didn't end up getting the award.
Flores did his thing. Flores going to Flores. He's always going to throw in a new wrinkle to that amoeba defense type system where I don't think he gets enough credit for that, for truly popularizing the look where you have 6, 7, 8 guys around the line of scrimmage, and the quarterback just effectively cannot make a pre-snap read. I mean, even if he still runs that a lot more than most coaches do, and he is blitzing a lot more than most coaches do, that's kind of what he added back in this year, where last year is a lot of running that extremely heavy front and then dropping out of it. Kind of just sending heat more consistently like we've seen in years past. But even if other teams aren't running that as much as the Vikings are, look at defenses on 3rd down now. It's what they're doing virtually every time, unless it's like 3rd and 3 or shorter where you truly have to play the run. On 3rd and passing, you are crowding the line of scrimmage. You are making the QB's life hell. You are trying to mix up offensive line protections, and you are trying to scheme up a free rusher. And I'm not saying that Brian Flores was the first guy to ever do that, but he really did pioneer that defensive system. And then Robert Saleh, the defensive roster talent he was working with. I think they would be a pretty good college defense.
Solid. middle of the road, Rutgers level.
Indeed.
Not quite G6, but Power 4. Yeah, Flores, I mean, I think a great, like, look at sim pressure rates from defenses like 2 or 3 years ago. Only one defense hasn't risen by much, and that's Brian Flores and the Vikings, because they've been doing it for that long, and everybody was like, well, our offense is getting fucked over by this. Might as well try it defensively. And what's special about his sim pressure looks is that you have no doubt he will blitz you. There's a lot of guys who, all right, yeah, you're going sim pressure. There's 7 guys at the line. They're not all coming. Brian Flores put 7 or 8 guys at the line. Fuck, man, they might all be coming. I gotta get this ball out quick. He puts the fear of God in quarterbacks. It doesn't look like he's going to get a head coaching opportunity this year. I really hope he gets one again soon. I want to see him as a head coach again.
Me too. I think he deserves it.
Yeah, just such a great mind, and I think he deserves a second chance. Saleh does get a second chance. He's going to be Titans head coach. They brought in Brian Daboll to be the OC. I mean, that's an exciting look for the Titans. So there are reasons to be hopeful as a Titans fan, and this guy's one of them.
Getting Daboll was just a huge ad for them. I mean, I already relatively liked the Saleh hire considering what they were working with, but now actually going into next year with a little bit of confidence, I think.
Daboll's the guy for Ward. I like that. All right, Minner is our defensive coach of the year. And finally, we got one more award, and that is overall the head coach of the year. Very, very good crop this year.
Absolutely.
Maybe the best crop we've seen in a long time. I mean, there were guys I didn't vote for that I think sometimes win in other years. Like, I didn't vote for Sean Payton, but this guy led us to a 14-3 record, a great offense, and then Bo Nix improved a lot. Like, it hurt not to vote for him. He's so good, but there's so many great candidates. We only have 3 finalists, though, and Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers head coach, is one of them. Mike McDonald, the Seahawks head coach, is one of them, and Ben Johnson, the Bears head coach, is the last one. And the winner of the final Balls Talk Sports Award, and one of the biggest ones, Coach of the Year, is Mike McDonald, the Seattle Seahawks head coach.
I figured it would be Mike McDonald. It was not unanimous, though.
It was not unanimous.
Who is your number one? Kyle Shanahan.
My number one was Mike McDonald.
Oh, did I not vote McDonald as my number one?
No, I don't think so. No, you voted Ben Johnson as your number one.
Oh, yeah. It was a really, really tight race between those two players. Ben Johnson blew me away this year with his play calling, with how he was just able to flip the culture in Chicago almost immediately, with how almost an entirely new offensive line comes in. And, first week or two, it's a little bit rough, and then it's a huge strength after that. There is no aspect of the Ben Johnson offense that I don't like. And as much as I like Caleb Williams as a quarterback because he is extremely exciting to watch, not the best player within structure. And Ben Johnson was able to give him a steady structure that saw him get better and better throughout the season. And it is going to fucking suck to play the Chicago Bears next year. So I will stand by Ben Johnson as number one, but Mike McDonald, it's tough. It is. I won't even say it's 1A and 1B. It's a coin flip for me between those two guys.
I did not vote for Ben Johnson with any of my slots, and it hurt. I really wanted to, but again, that just goes to show there's so many great coaches this year. Like, my 5 went to McDonald, Shanahan, Vrabel, Cohen, and DeMeco Ryans in that order. But I mean, I think you can make an argument for Ben Johnson over all of those guys. I just didn't end up doing it, but he absolutely deserves. I mean, I can't even argue against the number one vote. But Mike McDonald, it was between him and Shanahan for me. But that defense, it was the best in the league this year, arguably with Houston. But it's tough to say because offense does play some part in how defense works, and because they had such different offensive efficiency and output, it's really tough to say who was the best defense in the league. But if you want to say it's Seattle, fine by me. Obviously, the Mike McDonald defense is going to be run a lot more. In 5 years, half the league might be running it, 'cause he might have the biggest defensive coaching tree we've seen quite a bit. Already got a few guys going out there. We've talked about his defense extensively. We've talked about it on this podcast. We don't need to talk too much more about it, but just focusing on how quickly that he turned this team around. 2 years ago, they had Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, and they fired Pete Carroll. They trade Russell Wilson, and 3 years ago they had Russell Wilson. Then they traded Russell Wilson. Pete Carroll sticks around for one more year. Geno Smith is pretty good, and then they move off of both of them. Then they move off of Pete Carroll. They hire Mike McDonald. He takes the job. Geno Smith, year one, looks real good, but they say again, we have high expectations. We want to win football games. We want to win Super Bowls, and we don't think Geno can do it for him. So they trade him away, and they sign Sam Darnold. to a massive contract, a much maligned move, including by the both of us.
Absolutely.
I
Yep,
did not
I'll
like
own that.
I did not like the decision when it happened, and I absolutely regret my words now because Seattle's playing in the Super Bowl, and you can say that Darnold isn't necessarily the biggest reason why, and I think that's fair. It's worked, and I don't think they're in the Super Bowl if they still have Geno. I don't think they're in the Super Bowl if they don't make the tough choice to fire Shane Waldron, whose offense wasn't even that bad.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't good, and he probably deserved to be fired, but there are quite a few head coaches who don't pull the trigger. New head coaches, your first year as an offensive coordinator, the offense isn't it isn't bad. Oh, well, it's bad, but it isn't, like, horrendous. It's not Nathaniel Hackett in Denver, right? So you have an excuse. You can keep around your guy, but no, Mike McDonald, we've got high expectations. We want to win games. We're going to go out there and we're going to bring Clint Kubiak. We're going to retool this. We're going to trade for Cooper Kupp, trade for Rashid Shaheed at the deadline. Obviously, some of these are GM moves. Credit to John Snyder. I think maybe next year we might do an Executive of the Year award. We didn't do it this year, but McDonald was a big part of all of this as the coach is. Keeping this team connected together. They play some of the best football of the entire NFL, and that's a reflection of the head coach getting your guys to play together. Mike McDonald has turned this team, this franchise around in 2 years. He's clearly the guy to come, and Shanahan deserves a lot of credit for what he did this year, but it was always going to be Mike McDonald for me.
Defense, obviously check. Culture, obviously check. Front office decision-making, answered that question this year. There is nothing not to like about Mike McDonald's tenure in Seattle. It is clear that excellence is the expectation, and there's a reason that they are in the Super Bowl, coming through the much tougher conference in year 2 of his tenure.
Absolutely. I mean, you beat the team that most people said was going to the Super Bowl. You beat them twice. There's no doubt about it. You left no doubt. You were the better team, and they beat the Rams in the conference championship, and it probably should have been by more because the Tariq Woolen insanity that happened on 4th and 12 that led to a touchdown, So Seahawks, it wasn't just like, all right, you can make the excuse that we even said, like, you could argue that the Rams were the better team in both of their regular season matchups. No one can argue after watching the conference championship the Rams were the better team. Seattle has proved it. McDonald is an incredible coach. And then Kyle Shanahan, you just got to give him credit for what he did. I mean, one of the most injured rosters in the league. When you look at the difference between what Arizona did this year and what San Francisco did this year, a lot of that's just coaching. It just comes down to, can you call a good offense? Can you keep your guys together? And can you get the best out of guys who you didn't expect to be playing with? And Shanahan did all that.
Had to go to Mac Jones, not a big deal.
Nope.
Top 3 receivers out, not a big deal. George Kittle's out, somehow not a big deal because, oh my God, who's the tight end they were running out there? Jake Tonges, who, full transparency, is a football player I had never heard of previously. We're going to find a way to get him involved. Yep. And you know what? He's going to be pretty damn solid because I'm Kyle Shanahan and I drop the best offense in the NFL.
Yep. Jawan Jennings, Demarcus Robinson, bench warmers 2 years ago, stars this year, and you go out there and you beat the defending Super Bowl champions in the playoffs with as we said, AI tech bros out there. Credit to Kyle Shanahan, a heck of a year. And also credit to Mike Vrabel. He received my third place vote, didn't make the finalists, but brought his team to a Super Bowl in year 1. A 4-13 team. Now they're 17-3 and playing for a Super Bowl. That takes a lot of work.
I'm usually lower on these culture-oriented head coaches, but I've read up on Vrabel and his leadership style, and I really do buy it with him. I mean, there's a reason that the culture flipped instantly and that the standard raised so instantly. This is a team that, they could have been behind the 8 ball early because we have a bunch of young guys, and we don't know exactly what our identity is going to look like. Well, it turns out their identity is just winning 14 games in the regular season.
Yeah, I guess. And one of the biggest reasons I voted for Vrabel as my number 3 is because of how much he's improved as a game manager. I feel like a big reason why he got fired in Tennessee was that he really hadn't moved with the league. He hadn't adjusted to playing the 4th down decisions well. He hadn't, like, his timeout usage and overall timeout theory, obviously it's come a long way in the past few years, and Mike Vrabel's up on it just as well as anybody. I mean, the way he was calling stuff against Denver made me so pissed off because I'm like, yeah, fuck, that's the right decision. Most guys don't make that call, but he makes that call. I mean, and he's also, like we were talking about a couple weeks ago, he is not being, this is why I voted for him over Ben Johnson. I think he's actually a better game manager than Ben Johnson is. I think he listens to the analytics more than Ben Johnson does. Because Ben Johnson, I do love him, and he is an analytics guy, but you look at a lot of those fourth down decisions, the analytics tell you to kick it, buddy. The analytics are telling you to kick it.
There are some vibes fourth down decisions in there, which I get it.
I
It's
love
a
the
culture
vibes.
thing, but I'll take analytics.
We can't talk about the vibes decisions kicking it without talking about the vibes decisions for going for it. And the Bears have made the vibes decisions for going for it, and it's worked out for them sometimes. So got to credit them for that. But Vrabel, one of the best game managers in the league right now. And if you're going to be that head coach that doesn't call plays, obviously he's a lot of influence on play calling. A first-year play caller. Well, it was going to be Terrell Williams. Then he gets sick, and you have to replace him with Zach Kuhr. Very tough thing to sell to your defense that had been coached by Terrell Williams all offseason. Your leading defensive coordinator, he's not coaching you anymore. That's a big blow, and keeping those guys ready to play, and they just did a heck of a job this year.
And making it genuinely a strength of your team with the roster they had going in. Yeah, there are definitely pockets of talent there, but a lot of new pieces that you added in free agency. You're not sure what this is going to look like. I think you can make a strong case that, especially with what we've seen in the playoffs, their defense might just genuinely be better than their offense is, and that is what we saw from Mike Vrabel in Tennessee.
I'd agree. And you know what? The linebackers are always going to be good in Mike Vrabel. Robert Spillane and Christian Ellis. Somehow a really solid linebacker duo. And I think that's it.
Those are the official Balls Talk Sports Awards.
Yep.
However,
yes, we do. I forgot about this completely, but yes, we do have it. We each created our own individual awards. So we've got some fun little awards to give y'all here.
All right, you want to go first?
I'll go first, and we're going to be playing a game based off of the popular hit show Pokemon.
All right.
We're going to play a little bit of a game I call Who's That Pro Bowler? These are all 2025 Pro Bowlers that I defy you to name in 10 years, and I defy you to name right now. You get 3 questions to figure out who each of my finalists are. Let's give it. First finalist, you get 3 questions. Who is my first finalist for the Who's That Pro Bowler award?
Do they have to be yes or no?
Yeah, probably, because you can't just, who is it?
Can I ask what position?
Yeah, you can ask like what position, what team do they play for, stuff like that.
All right. Okay.
Well, just be respectful about it.
What position is your first Who's That Pro Bowler?
Corner.
Okay. What division does he play in?
The NFC North.
Does he have a lot of picks this year?
I don't know.
Okay, so it's not Nashawn Wright then.
No, it's not. Did he make the Pro Bowl?
I would assume so.
I think so.
Although he did not lead the league in interceptions. That was actually
I would have
Byron.
said yes for Nashawn. It's not Nashawn Wright.
Okay. All right, I'm going to have to throw out a guess here. Couldn't be Terry and Arnold. DJ Reed?
It's your guy,
Is it
Keyshawn
fucking
Nixon.
Keyshawn Nixon? He made the Pro Bowl?
Yes.
What the fuck?
He replaced.
What the fuck?
He replaced, I believe, Devin Witherspoon as the corner, not as a kick returner, as a corner. In 2036, we're going to have to explain to our children how Keyshawn Nixon was given a Pro Bowl vote.
He was actually the first guy that came to mind for me, but I thought, no, too stupid.
Yeah, no. All right, the second finalist for this award.
All right, position.
You got 3. Quarterback.
Is it Shadur Sanders?
It is Shadur Sanders. Pro Bowler Shadur Sanders. A baffling selection that only happened because like 12 other guys turned it down. But
Just all the starting quarterbacks are gone, and he was actually the most qualified guy left.
Honestly, I saw the pool. He probably was.
Okay.
All right.
We're in a sad state.
Other than maybe Joe Flacco.
I would give it to Flacco.
Yeah, maybe. All right. And then the third finalist for the Who's That Pro Bowler award.
Position, please.
Tight end.
Okay, I'll ask for division again.
AFC East.
Well, Goddard would make a lot of sense. Oh, AFC East. Hunter Henry has like an extremely outside argument. Dalton Kincaid, I think, has a reasonable argument. Is it fucking Darren Waller?
No.
Okay, who is it?
It's Dalton Kincaid.
All right, I get that. That's somewhat reasonable.
I don't.
Somewhat
at
reasonable.
all. He was a solid receiver and pretty much not useless as a blocker, but close to useless as
yeah.
a blocker, and only caught passes because there was nobody else there. Like, he made it over Tyler Warren. And, I mean, there's not a
Bad.
lot of great one, but Dalton Kincaid is a Pro Bowler, really.
He's kind of an EPA darling.
He is.
But
I
yeah,
don't think
agree.
he deserved to be a Pro
Not
Bowler.
great. Not great.
But the winner of the Who's That Pro Bowler Award is Keyshawn Nixon. It's the only one you didn't get. I feel like that's only fair to give it to him.
That is
In
so
2036, we'll be like, Keyshawn, who won a Pro Bowl? Keyshawn Nixon. It's like Kevin King winning a Pro Bowl.
It is
It's
like Kevin King winning a Pro Bowl. That is a great count.
That is insane. And that is the first annual Who's That Pro Bowler Award. All right, what's yours?
So this is one that I kind of shouted out to you earlier, but I was still workshopping the name. It is the Zaire Franklin Availability is the Best Ability Award, going to Devin White. Last year was the first year of me giving out this award, hence it being named after Zaire Franklin, who was, I think, like third or fourth in the NFL in snaps played, so he continues to do his thing. Sort of the inspiration for this is that linebacker that has 50,000 tackles, and so every casual fan thinks that he's a star, but he's not actually good at doing his job. And
Blake
that
Martinez.
Blake Martinez and Devin White are two very different styles.
Yeah.
Blake Martinez, because he would play 10 yards back from the line of scrimmage and tackle guys after they got the first down. Devin White, because he is really, really athletic, and he is going to run at the first thing he sees, and a lot of the times that makes you right, which is how he got 174 combined tackles, which was third in the NFL this season, but, gets picked on in coverage because he doesn't know what he's doing, finds himself in the wrong spot all the time, not particularly good at taking on blocks. Look, I have appreciation for Devin White's game. I have appreciation for what the Raiders did in general on defense this season, just kind of letting fun, interesting players go out there and play. Jamal Adams, Eric Stokes had a little bit of a resurgence, but Devin White is not the third best linebacker in football, for anybody out there wondering that. Was he ever good?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
I don't think he was ever very good. But you know what? That's true. I think he got some Pro Bowl buzz. I don't think he made it. Otherwise, he definitely would have been on here on the Who's That Pro Bowler Award. But yeah, it's a good award to give out. It is a skill, playing 15,000 snaps. All right, my second weird award is the What Y'all Know About That Blank Award. So, you know how people say, what y'all know about what y'all know about that? Like 20 COVID Will Fuller the fourth, or like how TikTok guy, what y'all know about JJ Watt? The idiots online who say, really a decent one is like, what y'all know about that? Like 2018 Duke Johnson.
That is pretty
All
decent.
Right? It's not great, but there are a lot of guys who do it a lot better than me. For all of my strengths, which aren't many, one of them is not the ability to pull random names that I've had. I'm decent at it, but I'm not great at it.
What you know about 2016 Bilal Powell?
Yeah, see, that's a good one. That's a solid one. It's a solid one at the very least, but I can't pull out some of the names that I've heard people pull out are just absurd. I'm like, I forgot about that guy. My goodness, like that is a blast from the past. But what will we be doing with that in 10 years? What y'all know about that 2025 Michael Wilson?
That is a good one.
He comes out. I mean, there's just no way he's ever a 1,000-yard receiver again, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
But he comes out. He isn't very good year one. He won so many people their fantasy leagues this year down the stretch. He will probably be he's a solid player, career 700-yard receiver, but he goes for like 1,000 yards this year and wins a bunch of fantasy leagues. In 10 years, the 20-year-olds will be saying, what y'all know about that Michael Wilson?
He did not win me a fantasy league this year. However, he did help me with Garrett Wilson and Brian Thomas Jr. as my number 2 receivers, or my top 2 guys headed into the playoffs. He helped me make it to the semifinals, and for that, I will forever be appreciative. Finding a good wide receiver a year on waiver wires is kind of what gives me a playoff floor for fantasy football, and I hadn't found one yet, and I was starting to freak out. Have I lost my touch? Then I got Michael Wilson after Marvin Harrison went down, and I got my guy.
See, my problem was that I just didn't have running backs. It's just
not much you can do about that.
Kenneth Walker turned it on at legitimately the most useless possible time for me. Like, dude,
on
the playoffs, like, what are we doing? Well, you couldn't have done this week 17 when I was playing in the shit bowl. Like, what are we doing? All right, what's your second award?
My second award is Position Change of the Year.
All right.
And there wasn't a great example for this. Like, there wasn't a former quarterback who showed out at tight end or anything, but I wound up giving it to Jalen Ramsey,
I
who
like that.
was, when he was, oh my gosh, I have to think back. Who was he playing for before he got traded to the Steelers? It was the Jags, right?
Dolphins.
Yeah. Another Florida team. He was playing mostly slot corner. He was a legit cornerback for them. Then he goes to Pittsburgh, and I think they brought him in because they saw potential in him to play safety. And now you just see him lining up in a too-high shell pre-snap. And interestingly, what's translated really well to safety for him has really been his tackling.
Oh, yeah.
He's always been stellar in run defense by corner standards, by nickel standards. At safety, he has not lost a beat. He looks very comfortable coming downhill from those alignments up high. And he's been very good in zone coverage as well. Still a great athlete for a safety, even if not a great athlete for a cornerback. And I'm always a big fan of that transition for guys that can pull it off. Add 2-3 years onto the end of your career playing a different position at a high level.
Yeah, absolutely. Very impressive position change. He was also a contender for the Who's That Pro Bowler award. He didn't deserve the Pro Bowl.
No, he did not.
But I ended up going with Kincaid over him. So, yeah. All right. My last award is going to be, I didn't really come up with a great name for this one, but the Can We Check the Scale on that award, where we have two finalists, and that is the guys who I'm pretty sure are both like 50 pounds off of their listed weight, and that is Phillip Rivers and Darnell Washington. There is no way that they're... I'm going to pull up their listed weights real quick. I should have this. This is bad preparation. I apologize to you. But there is no... I will put up a picture on the screen right now of Phillip Rivers, and you tell me if he is, I believe... You tell me if this guy is 228 pounds.
Oh, I know the interview you're going to pull from.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not sure about that one, man. And then I'm going to put up a picture of Darnell Washington. You tell me. Okay, never mind. So I guess he's listed. No. You tell me if this guy's 260 pounds.
That's his listed weight,
That's
seriously?
his listed weight. Now, Google AI has him at 311, but I think that's just a guess. I don't think he's actually...
Google AI accurate. More accurate than real life.
Though Wikipedia, what do they have? They have him at 285. No one can seem to agree. So he gets the Check the Scale award just because it ranges from 240 to 320.
He weighs something in the triple digits. It could be 995.
We think. We're not sure. But can we check the scale on that?
He weighs half a ton.
The winner of this is going to be Phillip Rivers, though, because... Oh, man. So, Phillip Rivers, congrats. And this is not a... Listen, if you're not an NFL player, you're retired from the league, get that dad bod, man. You got all that... You haven't been able to eat good food for years. Dude, I can never blame you for that. But going back into the NFL, it's pretty funny.
It's like the moment the transition happens, you cease to weigh more. Yep. It's like, okay, instantly back down to playing weight. I don't look like it. Looks like nothing's changed at all but the playing weight.
It's left around, I lost it so quickly. It's that top layer. All right, your last award.
It is the Madden Awareness Rating Award.
All right.
It's a real thing, we promise. Andrew Van Ginkel embodies it.
Love it.
I think Madden Awareness, the idea behind it, it's like reaction to the ball. Nobody reacts better to the football and reacts proactively to where the football is going to be than Andrew Van Ginkel. He had 9 passes defended this year. Now,
wow,
5 of those were passes batted down. Which
Still,
you're rushing, you get a hand up, you swat it. However, I think he was targeted 22 times because he does drop back into coverage way more than the average edge rusher, of course. He wound up with a 19% forced incompletion rate, which is like above average for a cornerback. He recovers fumbles. He takes them to the house. He's got great hands. He knows where the ball is going, even when it's in the arms of a running back. He sniffs out the run really well and just gets into the backfield and makes stops. I had to shout out a Badgers guy. It is impossible to not like Andrew Van Ginkel. He's just out there being a football player. Kyle Hamilton is a football player. His position is defense. Andrew Van Ginkel, his position is defense. So that is the Madden Awareness Rating.
Not necessarily awareness, but I feel like Nashawn Wright, knowing where the football is on the body, the punches coming, making the picks, that's also a skill.
Trayvon Diggs Award.
Trayvon Diggs Award.
There needs to be a Trayvon Diggs. Next year, Trayvon Diggs
next
Award.
Year, or the the Cowboys Corner Award.
Yeah, correct. Least sustainable interception producer.
Who's the most spiritually Cowboys corner in the league? This year it'd be Nashawn, right? But that is all of our awards. A lot of them. Thanks for sticking with us. We appreciate it. Next week is going to be the Super Bowl, and I think you'll also get some Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl reactions. Shout out to Tulsa running back Dominic Richardson going out there scoring the game-winning touchdown in the Shrine Bowl.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. That is sick.
Great
Absolutely.
for him. He's rising up draft boards. Maybe we'll get to talk about him. That would be fun.
Maybe. That'd be very fun.
That would be very fun. Thanks for sticking with us. This was the Balls Talk Sports Award Show. Yet next week, Senior Bowl and the Super Bowl predictions. And the week after that, are you ready? We're about to get into it. It's going to be draft season. Elson, in our year and a few months of doing this podcast, we've never scouted quarterbacks.
That is correct.
You think it's maybe time we start doing that? Maybe we turn on the tape just once?
Oh, I think I'm already done, Victor.
Really?
I think we got the takes entrenched, and it is going to be a wild episode.
Well,
and I am not just saying that for hype. It's going to be a fucking wild episode. I got some takes.
I'm aware of at least one of those takes, and yeah, you might want to tune in for this one. I got to catch up on the tape, but we might be bringing you quarterbacks 2 weeks from now, so stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button if you like the content. If you liked this video, give us a like. If you didn't, then you don't have to. It's fine. We won't hold it against you.
Victor, we got tape to watch. Are we ready to get out of here?
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, stay hard.